Hi, my name is Meredy, and I'm here with Dr. Neil in the nsquared office in Sydney, Australia. And we're here today to talk about the Surface Vision and the Surface device. And here we are.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask you today was, why was Surface created?
So Surface is an interesting kind of bringing together of various research technologies and ideas. When you think about computing, generally it's a very solo activity, and we talked a little bit about that in the last video that we did. And yet technology has not really been used heavily to allow people to interact directly and enhance that direct interaction. Like, we use technology a lot to do things like social networking online, email, collaboration, that kind of stuff, where each person has their own screen.
Right, online gaming.
But we don't do enough to utilize technology to enable the human-to-human interaction. And it's human-to-human interaction that creates everything in the world, really. Business transactions, purchases, friendships, relationships. I mean, that's what the world consists of in terms of the human world, is relationships and people's interactions. And we try and use technology to enable us to do it remotely, but we don't do enough, I think, to use technology to do it in the same location while we're sitting together. And so Surface, if you think about Surface, not just the form factor, but a lot of the different aspects of Surface really exists to encourage and enhance that relationship, that transaction that happens between people. So the form factor is a table, because a table is something you sit around to engage with other people. And actually, if you sit at a meeting, a lot of technical companies, you'll sit down at a meeting, everyone will open their laptop, and there's kind of this barrier between everyone that's automatically set up. And I remember working with the tablet team and working on tablet PCs, and that really changed things initially, because people had slate tablets and they would put the tablet down on the table. And that's an interesting dynamic change in a meeting. Now Surface has the opportunity to do the same kind of thing, where you can actually not all have your own screen, but all be working on the same screen to create something, to discuss something, to understand something.
So it's very collaborative, very face-to-face, which is a new new paradigm in thinking for computing.
Yeah, in many ways it's what I call real social computing. You know, like, a lot of this social computing is not really social at all. It's very, I sit behind a screen by myself at midnight doing Facebook entries. Like, that's not social.
Right.
I uploaded my photos to Facebook and share it with all my friends, but that's not very social. Actually sitting with someone and engaging with them, that's really social.
Right, definitely. So this is an exciting new way of thinking around computing, for sure.
Yeah.
So what are some of the principles of the Surface? Like, when you're creating an application, what kind of principles do you want to keep in mind that the Surface was created for and about?
Yeah, so there's kind of three main pillars that we talk about with building a great Surface application. Social is one of them, seamless, and spatial. And so we talked a little bit about social already, but seamless is the ability for your application to seamlessly interact with the real world around it, to be as though it's a very natural way to work. So as I put something down on the Surface unit, as I put glass down, as I put my phone down, as I put my laptop down, as I put my keys down, on top of it, it is a table, right? So I will put things on top of it. I will treat it as a table. And as I put these things down, the software should react. So if there's things on the screen, they should get out of the way of the things that I've put down. You know, maybe if I put certain things down, it says, it's Neil's phone. Let's upload some data to it, or let's take some data off it. Let's play the music that's on Neil's phone. Those kind of interactions can start to happen if you build the software to be much more seamless. So there's that seamless nature of how the software interacts with the physical world on the tabletop.
Right.
And that's very, very powerful. And then spatial has multiple facets to it. The spatial facet of the fact that, you know, things are related to other things in this space on the tabletop. And actually, if you think about it, if you sit at a different side of the table, the relationships appear different. So if you think about a typical screen, you have something on top of something else, like you think, that's above that. that concept no longer really exists because you're now on a flat screen. So you're now, well, it may appear from one side to be
above that,
further away from them.
Right.
But on the other side, it will appear closer, and so you really need to think about it in those terms. But then there's also the spatial aspect of knowing that you have a number of people around the unit. How many people potentially, not necessarily will know that within your software, but you can detect things like orientation of approach. So as a finger comes down, you can see what the orientation is. You can make a best guess that person is coming from that side of the table.
Right.
It's not 100%, but you can do some fairly smart things in the software with orientation to detect, hey, I've got people coming from different sides of the unit, therefore I'm going to display things on different sides.
And kind of as a side note, that's one of the things that differentiates Surface from other touchscreen devices, is because of those cameras and because of its ability to sense orientation. So.
Yeah, and it is probably the richest device in the market that's not custom made, that you can actually buy, a device ready to go in a box that does all those kind of things. And there are people custom making those kind of things as well, but because of the vision system, the 5 cameras looking up, you get a much richer experience.
That's great. Yeah, it's exciting. So last question for you. Why is Surface, what is the right place for Surface? Who should be attracted to Surface?
And that's a good question. There's definitely, there's some scenarios where Surface really shines, and there's some scenarios where, maybe Surface isn't the right option. The initial scenarios that Surface has been rolled out in, are actually quite good examples. Retail, so for example in the US AT&T stores, and we've got some other stores now starting to grab onto the idea that you can have communicative engagement between sales people and customers around a unit. You can discuss the objects that are for sale, you can discuss services, those kind of things. That's a good example of using the unit to enhance the conversation. Other examples, galleries, museums, where you have multiple people exploring. You can think of it as a very rich kiosk type scenario. You can put objects down, maybe you put your museum ticket down on top of the unit and it starts remembering your profile as you walk around if you had multiple units throughout the museum. That's an example. Other examples, hospitality, so hotels, bars, those kind of scenarios where people want to interact with each other. The table can enhance those conversations. If you think about the flip side, if you have, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but if you have very single user scenarios, then Surface is probably not the best device for a single user scenario. There's people who ask that classic question, which I get asked every single training course that I run, which is, can I mount it on the wall? Well, yeah, you can. A, it's very heavy and cumbersome to do, and B, it's a waste of money, because you can buy a touchscreen that goes on the wall, and as soon as you mount it on the wall, you lose all the opportunity to do things that you might do otherwise, such as putting things on top of the table, treating it as a table, creating that social environment, creating that engagement around a place that people sit, which is what Surface is really all about.
Great. Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for going over some of those questions with me today.
You're welcome.
And hopefully this will encourage people to look into Surface and into Surface development. And that's it for today.
Thanks.
Thanks.